Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community.
Hello and welcome. It is the Modernize or Die podcast CFML News Edition. Today is March 15th, 2022, and I'm Eric Peterson and joined by Mr. Daniel Garcia. Welcome, Daniel.
Hello, I think.
Thanks for bearing with our slight technical difficulties. You know, it's always a hoot and a riot whenever I'm in charge of this thing, so...
You know, it's the Ides of March, Eric. This one might not be on you.
I know. What were we thinking? Anyways, this is episode 139, and we would like to start off by thanking our wonderful sponsor, Ortus Solution, the makers of Cold Box, Command Box, Test Box, all your favorite boxing. You can say thank you back to Ortus Solutions in a few ways. We are still reaching for the stars. Please head to GitHub, star the repos of the modules you use. Let us know there. You can like and subscribe to these videos on YouTube. You can also share them in your favorite podcast player and subscribe there. You can sign up for a free or paid CFcast account, which releases videos every week. And we are still counting up for Ortus's next Command Box Quick Tips and Tricks book. I don't have the count in here. I'm going to make it up then. 110 Command Box Quick Tips and Tricks.
At least.
And finally, we'd like to thank our awesome Patreon supporters who support us directly. We have 36 Patreons that provide 96% of the funding for this podcast. You can find more out at patreon.com/Ortus Solutions. And we'll tell you more about it at the end, along with some perks that our Patreon supporters enjoy.
Okay.
Let's jump into some news, Daniel.
I am pasting links. I am catching up. Okay, well, the big news is Lucee 539 is on release candidate 2. The Lucee team is proud to announce, and we're very happy to hear that release candidate 2 is out. Or is announced, consisting of bug fixes and regressions. If all things go well and subject to any issues or whatever, they plan to release a stable version on Friday, March 25th of this month. So very exciting to get a final version of Lucee 539.
So this is the version that has all of Log4j1 gone. So
yay!
So especially if you have security scanners yelling at your code, this would be a great one to test on.
Absolutely. I keep hearing Brad's like, I'm going to release that feature as soon as the latest Lucee is out. So I think he's also got some stuff that he's probably happy to push out.
Right. Well, we want to talk again about our Built with Cold Fusion CFML repo. So this is a repo we've created at Ortus Solutions to help highlight awesome websites built with Cold Fusion and awesome companies like yours using it. So we'll paste the repo into the show notes and into the chat. You can go and open up a pull request and add just a little JSON schema there for your organization so we can highlight that it is built with CFML. Next up, we have a couple webinars for Ortus coming up here on March 25th, so otherwise known as Lucee 539 release day. We have ForgeBoxiciation with Gavin Pickin. For some reason, I don't know if it's the combination of Gavin and that name, but I thought of like Californication.
Oh yeah,
so, ForgeBoxiciation.
Or ForgeBoxiciation. It's a tongue. That's why I let you read this one. I don't want to chew it up.
So this is March 25th, Friday at 11 a.m. Central. Gavin's going to take us through ForgeBox, which is the CFML package management system. You can learn how to package up your own code into a ForgeBox and maybe even make our own module on the webinar.
Ooh.
And then we
And
have another webinar coming up in April, if you want to tell us about that one, Daniel.
absolutely. So our April webinar is cbSecurity, passwords, tokens, and JWTs with Eric Peterson. Woo! So that's going to be on April 29th at 11 a.m. Central Time. Come and learn how to integrate into your app, whether you're using passwords, API tokens, JWTs, or a combination of all three. And I'm curious, Eric, if there's time, maybe even refresh tokens.
Yeah, that should be part of the JWTs.
Woo-hoo!
So
I'm definitely looking forward to that.
yeah, I've still workshopping the title. Wanted you guys to know everything that was in there, but like we're gonna cover all the use cases of cbSecurity here for you. So
I see that you rejected all the titles I submitted, so it's probably for the best.
I did. Wait, we'll just leave those in the Slack graveyard. A couple other fun user groups or workshops coming up. The Hawaii Cold Fusion user group has a meetup coming up on March 24th. It is moving your legacy Cold Fusion application to modern CFML with Mr. Mark Takata. That will be Thursday, March 24th at 1 p.m. Hawaii time, which is 4 p.m. Pacific. And you can work out your time zone from there.
Aloha.
Aloha. Docker has a birthday coming up, which is kind of crazy. Because it's their 9th birthday, and I'm trying to figure out where I was 9 years ago when Docker came out because I don't remember that. But that is the last day of March, Thursday, March 31st, 8 a.m. It's a community all hands on. You can come together with the Docker staff, learn, share, and collaborate about all things Docker. So if you are a Docker aficionado, you can join their party. I wonder if this is going to be like the VS Code release parties that they do, where they just celebrate what they've done, or if it's going to be more of a webinar.
I don't know. I am not a Docker aficionado yet, but can I still go, Eric?
I mean, I guess, is anybody really a Docker aficionado?
John Clausen.
I feel like Docker is like Git, where it's like this great, amazing piece of software, but in reality, we all know 4 commands to try to get our work done. So
It's 3 more than I know, so I'm working on it.
now I'm wondering which Docker command you do know.
Docker pull.
Oh, not even Docker run. Wow.
Baby steps, Gavin. Oh my gosh.
It's all good. I'll take Gavin. If I had the voice like Gavin, I will take that.
Oh my gosh. It's the Ides of March. Why can't we do this on Pi Day yesterday? At least we'd be like happy and full of pie. We have some Adobe workshops coming up. Join the Adobe workshop to learn how you and your agency can leverage Cold Fusion and create amazing web content. One-day training covers all facets of Adobe Cold Fusion. The next one is on Thursday, March 24th at 10 a.m. PDT. Cold Fusion Standard versus Enterprise with Mark Takata. That should be a name you know, and if you don't know, you should learn his name. I believe he's our Cold Fusion evangelist, among other things. On Wednesday, March 30th at 9 a.m. EDT, another Cold Fusion workshop with Brian Sappy. On Thursday, April 21st at 9 a.m. CET, that's Central European time, as I have to keep reminding myself. We got Damian Bruindox doing a Cold Fusion workshop. And then on April 21st at 10 a.m. PDT, we got Mark Takata again on Cold Fusion Truths. Which, is that some cool new design pattern? Or is
no,
that
that's having fun with the fact that Booleans in Cold Fusion. True, false, yes, no. So
got it.
A nice play on words. Good title. Because it made me read. I'm like, what? Truths and lies? Like, what are we talking about here?
Maybe it's the myth that Cold Fusion's been dying the same death for 25 years. I don't know. And then the whole list of all the others, I just pasted that link, so go check them out.
Awesome. So let's jump right into conferences and trainings coming up. We talked about the Docker community all hands, so we'll skip over to Dev Nexus. It is.
Okay. It is highlighted in purple, so I will read that one if that's okay. So DevNext is 2022, the largest Java conference in the U.S. according to their Twitter. April 12th and 14th in Atlanta. Our very own Brad and Luis will be speaking. Luis is speaking on Alpine.js, and Brad in What's a Pull Request, contributing to open source. The link is devnexus.com. It's an in-person conference. I know they're very excited to go. We're very excited to have them go, and it should be a good time.
You know, I have a confession to make regarding Alpine.js. So we at Ortus, there's been people talking about it, using it. It's been out for a while. I finally watched like my first tutorial with it like 2 days ago.
Yeah? What do you think?
It's like mini Vue. It's like Vue without all the, how do I put this? Vue without having to define a component. Like that part is optional. Which is nice for when you don't really need all that boilerplate. But I still love Vue, so
I did start looking into Alpine as well somewhat recently, and I agree it's very simpler. But the cool thing is Caleb Porzio, I think that's his name. They're doing a lot of stuff to update content and push it, really making it the jQuery replacement. So it's kind of interesting. Kind of neat.
All right, next up we have DockerCon, May 10th, 2022. You can sign up and pre-register on their website right now. It will be a free online experience.
Nice.
I am very interested to see it. Usually I look at the DockerCon sessions and realize that there's not a beginner enough track for me. But here's hoping, you know.
That's how I look at Into the Box when I see your name and Gavin's name and Brad's name and Luis's name. No, I'm just kidding. I just need to read more. The next conference is the U.S. Vue.js conference in Fort Lauderdale. Beach Code Vue, June 8th through 10th of 2022. Workshop day is June 8th. The conference is 9th and 10th. I think we have some Ortus people that are heading down there. We're certainly talking about heading down there. And if they are heading down there, I think they're going to try and organize, if any of you are down there, want to get together and talk Code Fusion, as well as Vue, as well as Beach and Code.
I think we just have some Ortus people that want to get to the beach.
True.
Also, I feel like probably couldn't as a conference, but they have a workshop day, a May conference day. I feel like they should have just put under their beach day, June 11th.
Maybe that'll be the weekend. I don't know.
Right. But then you could be like, but boss, it is part of the conference. I must stay.
Would that fly? Can I use that? I'd be like, Eric told me.
It's not on the website, so I can't help you. All right, so that's about our, how should I put this? Our sibling conferences, right? We're talking about Docker, Java, JavaScript. But how about some CFML conferences? We don't have many solid dates yet, except for Into the Box. It will be September 27th through 30th this year. The call for speakers and a sign up there should be coming very soon. You will hear it here first.
I don't have a link for that, but I'm gonna paste it into the chat anyway.
We don't have the blog post quite up yet. It's being worked on. So, and along with the call for speakers, we want to get that to you as soon as we can. We hope to see you all there. It will be, I believe, still in Houston, Texas, but the venue might be different.
Oh.
So there's a teaser for you. Though I could just be wrong, and then I got your hopes up or let you down for nothing. So
You never let me down, Eric.
now I need to send you a Rickroll. If you are still looking for more conferences, comps.tech has you covered. And as soon as we get the website up for Into the Box 2022, you can bet we will be on comps.tech as well.
Absolutely. And I need to learn how to paste chunks of text into the chat with line breaks, because apparently Google Chat does not respect the line breaks on the YouTube chat. So sorry, everybody.
Probably Control Enter. That's what I usually use.
Maybe you can write a command box module to parse that out.
There you go. We can write a command box task that automatically pastes links from our show notes. That actually sounds scary. I feel like we'd mess something up. Anyway, on to blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. We'll start with a couple tweets from Mr. Brad Wood. There's been some Rabbit SDK updates. So Rabbit the Rabbit SDK integrates with RabbitMQ, which is a message queue that we have been using at Ortus and enjoying quite a lot. So he's added some proper exchange management methods, declaring, binding, unbinding, and deleting exchanges. Which, so if you are in using RabbitMQ or curious, you can check that out on ForgeBox and go ahead and get that update.
Okay, another tweet from our very own Brad. Slatwall, I can type, is no longer open source. So he learned recently that the Slatwall commerce platform was acquired by the company about 6 months ago and is no longer open source. General questions, anyone using it and is affected by that? And the comment that maybe Ortus needs to dust off, or how you dust things off, our CB Commerce module for CFML.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I've never used the Slatwall commerce platform. Have you, Daniel?
You know, I looked at it once or twice over the years, and years ago I looked at other CMSs, and it looked good on paper, but I don't think I ever really got it configured properly. And also, ORM on shared hosting, sometimes it's tricky, and so no, I have not properly used it.
That's yet another Cold Fusion open source project that's gone the way of, well, at least no longer open source. I don't know if the Slatwall, did it become paid or is it just not available?
It sounds like a company acquired it, and so they want to make it no longer open source.
Got it.
This happened to some
Well,
other...
if anybody has the last version of the open source one, if the license fits, we can go ahead and host that, kind of like we are. What is it? Masa CMS now is the open source version of the old Mira. But in any case, I've always been very happy with the Stripe CFML module made by John Berquist. I don't know how they compare, having not used the Slatwall Commerce platform, but I've done plenty of transactions through the Stripe module. So
I think Slatwall was the whole turnkey e-commerce solution. Whereas isn't the Stripe integration more just you build everything else and then you integrate?
I guess so. I guess don't know what that part is, and maybe that's what CB Commerce is for. But yeah, Stripe is definitely the payment / subscriptions, and that's about it. So, alrighty. Well, we have a couple blog posts, a trio of them from Ben Nadal to round us off this week. First one is about Fusion Reactor. We love Fusion Reactor. And here's a great reason why. So, Ben talked about how on his site he does quite a lot of caching for his blog posts. Every time you visit a blog post, he would do some background work for it and cache it. Things like going over, normalizing the HTML, extracting open graph tags, generating previews, things like that. And he was worried about the amount of RAM this was taking up. This is an in-memory cache. And, jumping to the end, he installed Fusion Reactor and he was able to see he has plenty of headroom. In fact, now he, in production, pre-loads all of the partials or all the blog posts in the memory and caches them. It the RAM goes up as it gets cached and then comes down to, I think he said 338 megabytes for all of it. So the moral of the story is don't just guess, measure. Right? He was worried that he didn't have enough, but when he went and measured, he realized not only did he have plenty, but that he could pre-cache everything and still have plenty. So Fusion Reactor is an amazing tool for that, to help you actually measure your application's performance, resources, so you can make those decisions. So Fusion Reactor should sponsor us, because we just gave them a great sponsor read. Anyway.
Plug. Shout out to David and Garen. Hey, guys.
Yeah. The next one that Ben has is about adding the HTTP strict transport security header in Cold Fusion 2021. So, this header, which is usually abbreviated as HSTS, because that's a long thing to say, goes along with HTTPS only, or forcing all your website visitors to be on HTTPS. The difference between doing this at like your web server or redirecting them is once the browser receives this, it will never send an HTTP request at all, which means there's no chance for any like man-in-the-middle attack. There's still a chance, even if you're redirecting first thing, for them to send an unsecured HTTP, get intercepted, and redirect it to some other site. So this header makes it so that it never even sends a unsecured HTTP request. It's pretty easy to set up, as you can see in his blog post. And also, I love the shout out to Pete Freitag for HackMyCF. How does he put it? It's not security is one of those features that tends to rot over time, so it's nice to have someone constantly nagging you about actively updating your platform. How true that is. I mean, we've kind of poked in the past at some of the security scanning tools about being a little too aggressive. But a tool like HackMyCF, it is not too aggressive, and it does catch these things and help you stay up to date on those. So I second that plug for Pete's stuff.
I do got to ask Eric. I almost called you Gavin again. I'm so sorry. I got to ask Eric, since you are also a musical nerd, not too unlike me, except you're more talented. Whenever you say "man in the middle," do you hear the Michael Jackson song "Man in the Mirror"? I'm looking at the man in the middle.
Now I do.
You're welcome.
YouTube, don't strike us with the copyright for that.
I don't know if I did it long enough, just short enough that we're not going to get struck, or I'm out of tune enough that they won't catch it.
There we go.
Like the Simpsons, when they do their like mock songs, are just different enough to avoid those copyrights. Another blog from Ben. Someone got bypassed, split down for maintenance page in CF 2021. There's a lot of times he's working on things, needs to put up a maintenance page to kind of do that without messing up the rest of what he's doing. So looks like he's just putting CF include in his application CFC so it executes first. That way it'll kind of just hijack the request, then he can still do what he's doing without anyone else really doing much with the side of the configuration. And then he can conditionally bypass that to do what he needs to test.
Yeah. This made me think of ColdBox has, I wouldn't say it's a replacement, but it's kind of in the similar vein. It has like a fail fast mode for reinits. So if you're in the middle of reinitting your application, depending on your application, that could take some time, a few seconds. And you can configure what happens during it, whether that's a view you put up, throw an exception, return some other like API response. So it's kind of, like I said, it's in the similar vein as this. I wouldn't say a replacement, but maybe you need both. So
interesting. I had not seen that yet.
In the world of like Docker and rolling upgrades, maybe not a lot of us see this, but I think for many of our applications, we are still doing a kind of, hey, deploy this git push to the server or git pull, and run the application now, and this could help us. This is the nice pattern for that. As he says, it's not about security here. It's more about giving a nice experience to your users. If somebody wants to override it and get past the cookie, like, good for them. They're probably going to see an exception. So.
Alrighty.
Well, let's talk about finding a job. GetCFMLjobs.com has over 57 Cold Fusion positions from 34 companies across 32 locations. We have 2 new jobs this week. A senior Cold Fusion developer at Colon, Pennsylvania, and a contract position, a remote position, which I also saw was based out of Australia, available as well. Again, that was a contract position.
Good day.
Good day. Other job links, you can check out Ortus's own job page at ortussolutions.com/about-us/careers.
Are we hiring?
We're always hiring great people. If you don't see it there, you can still go find one of us on Slack and say, hey, mind passing along my resume? And we love great people.
We do.
And we'll put in a couple other job links that we have for Everett Community College and the consortium. If you have any that you would like us, you can drop us a link. We can talk about your job posting right here on the podcast for free.
For free? In that case, I'll take 2.
There you go.
Okay. So next, we've got a ForgeBox module of the week. It's geolocation by IP by Ortus Solutions. Let me go ahead and paste the link. Basically, it's a geolocation by IP lookup and cache. It uses country code, name, region, city, zip, lat, long, time zone, all by IP address. There are times you need to go in and look people up. That is a nice, cool, easy way to plug it in and use it. As Brad's guarantee, this code comes with no warranties, promises, or rainbows. In fact, it will probably kick your cat.
I don't know if that's an official license, but it is my favorite license I've ever read. There's a couple other good ones, but they're usually a little bit more crass. That was a nice, clean, hilarious one. So thanks for the laugh today, Brad.
I got to work on my Brad Wood impression. I don't know if probably yours is coming along, Eric, but.
Alrighty, and for our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week, it's not VS Code. I tricked you. It's just a command line tool for Git. Hey, speaking of Git and all the magic that nobody ever remembers, here's something that I tend to try to do and then switch to a GUI because I can't figure it out, and that is somehow removing merged branches, pruned branches, untracked branches, otherwise stale branches from a repository. So I don't know if you're like me, where you've checked out a whole bunch of branches, you merged them, but maybe you forgot to click that checkbox in GitLab or GitHub where it says delete this branch after merging, and then 4 months later you're like, why do I have 12 branches up on my Git server that I don't need anymore? Well, this tool does the hard work of figuring out what those are and deleting them for you. It's called Git Trim. And I will switch quickly to the screen just so you can kind of take a look. It just adds a trim command under Git where you can remove local branches where the remote doesn't exist, local branches already merged, branches that haven't had commits, or local branches that aren't tracked to a remote branch. There's also some nuclear options which make you confirm, where you can delete a lot more. Like everything that's not on the remote or everything except what you're on. None of these touch the remote, so you don't need to worry about that one unless you do reset remote, so that's the scary one. But honestly, these are the ones I need. Happens to me all the time. So that's Git Trim. You can install it and use it from your shell. And that is our pick of the week.
Yeah, if you're a command line junkie like you are, that looks like an awesome tool.
Hey, all I'm saying is you don't need to do everything in the command line for Git, but adding, committing, and some things like that are so much faster, even though you have to put in a little bit of the work to learn it. So, but if it comes to viewing a Git diff, I'm pull up an editor every time. Or if I need to add part of a file that I've committed, yeah, I'm pulling up an editor. But for most things, I can do it really quick in the command line. So I think it's worth putting in that work.
No, I agree, especially if you learn all the commands, which I don't. So I just use my Git Kraken GUI because I like GUIs.
Well,
okay.
we've reached the end of the podcast today, and that means it's time to tell you about our lovely, beautiful, smart, and I need another adjective, Patreon supporters.
Capable, intelligent, elegant,
rich.
No,
probably not. We wish riches upon you, generous. There we go.
Generous.
How about you tell us about our generous Patreon supporters?
So we want to say thank you to all our generous, good-looking Patreon supporters. These individuals are personally supporting our open source initiatives to ensure the great toolings like CommandBox, ForgeBox, CodeBox, ContentBox, TestBox, and all other boxes keep getting the continuous development they need, and the funds the cloud infrastructure our communities relies on, like ForgeBox for our package management with CommandBox. You can support us on Patreon here, and I'll paste that here in a second, or right now. And don't forget, we have annual memberships. Pay for the year and save 10%, which is awesome for businesses. So our bronze package isn't up. Now get a ForgeBox Pro and CFCast subscription as a perk from the Patreon subscription. All Patreon supporters have a profile badge on the community website, and all Patreon supporters have their own private forum access on the community website. And if you weren't aware, hey, everybody, we have a community website. And I'm going to post the link and invite you to go take a look.
Yeah, there's even a really fun post that was just put up there. Let's see, it's third from the top on mine on latest. What topics do you want Ortus to teach about?
Ooh,
so
that's right.
We brought this up because we were coming up with our webinar topics and thought, you know what, we have this awesome community that we could go ask. So head over to community.ortussolutions.com, check out that topic, and tell us what you want to learn about in our upcoming webinars.
Tell us what you want, what you really, really want.
Oh man, you are just on the songs today.
You know what it is? It's spring break week for me, and so my brain is a little less goofy than it normally is. So,
did you say less goofy?
Less goofy. So I apologize, Eric. That,
All right. Well, let's end by thanking these generous Patreon supporters. Thank you to John Wilson with some Naptrix, Eric Hoffman, Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, Jonathan Perrette, Jeffrey McGee with Sunstar Media 6, Dean Monder, Joseph Lamerie, Don Bellamy, Jan Yannick, Laxma Tritrahadi, Carl von Stetten, Jeremy Adams, Didier Lesnicki, Matthew Clemente, Daniel Garcia, Scott Steinbeck with Agri Tracking Systems, Ben Nadal, Brett DeLine, Kai Koenig, Charlie Earhart, Jonas Erickson, Jason Diger, Sean Oden, Matthew Darby, Ross Phillips, Edgardo Cabezas, Patrick Flynn, Stephanie Manji, John Wish, Kevin Wright, and Peter Amiri. You can see an up-to-date list of all these sponsors on Ortus Solutions website at ortussolutions.com/about-us/sponsors. Thank you so much to all our Patreons and all of you who support us here at Ortus Solutions. And thank you for watching and or listening to this podcast.
We made it.
We made it. We hope you
March
have
15th.
a safe Ides of March, and we will catch you next week.
See you next week.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.